I at least feel somewhat validated, knowing that it's not completely delusion and it's not completely the reality. It's a mixture of both because that's where reality is at. Didn't appreciate it up there. It just kind of loses all meaning. Feels like trying to take advantage of you, you know? In a world where everyone is taught to protect their peace, leave at the first red flag, a love of giving space isn't delusion, it's dedication. That's what validated something I didn't have words for, that I struggled. Because, yeah, in some part, I have enabled the delusions to continue. But in another part, in sorting through what I think of someone, even if that means accepting flaws or otherwise about them, I end up loving them deeper. Not because they're perfect, but because they're at least real. When almost everything else isn't. And sure, maybe the person I got attached to isn't real in the sense that I can reach out to them or ask them to handle every conversation with me. But they're real in the sense that I can trust them to give me feedback even when they don't have their words. I can trust them to try as opposed to do nothing. I loved that dork exactly because they were so sincere, and I didn't want to hurt them. That was my sincerest desire, and yet it's also the very thing I couldn't accomplish. Do you know how much of a damn mind fuck that is? Even if it was just me poking, asking for conversation, for attention, for something that was more than distance. That still hurt them. If they fear I've done more than that, then that's for them to sort through. Well, it's kind of been hard not to just dive into those expectations and become the worst version of myself. It would never be the same thing as giving up on them. And that right there, that is something I deeply believe. Giving up, giving people space should not be the same thing as giving up on them. If giving up on them is what someone needs, then eventually I'll move on. But I didn't give up on my friend. I just recognized that I wasn't adding anything of value to their life in a way that they could measure compared to all the fucking noise and chaos and overwhelm they felt around me. I didn't want to continue being that kind of stress, so I just decided it would be best for them to keep me blocked. Told them to keep me blocked. Not because I inherently did something shameful, but because I was still struggling with my own damn grief. No lesser, no greater, just that. Grief. And I think that's the one thing that is worth fearing. The only thing to fear is fear itself. That's great, but what if most of us also find grief worth fearing? The loss of something. Isn't that something to be feared? Isn't that natural to fear the loss of something? Even if it's only material to you, it's still been around for a while. To not have it is to recognize that it isn't there. Giving someone space should never be the same as giving up on them. And that's the reason why I told Meme Lord and Chill Vibes to not worry too much about the Dunce Dork. Not because the dense dork isn't worth caring about, but because there's no point in them stressing out over things that they can't control or change. There's no point in them getting stressed out about a friend that won't accept their help because she either thinks herself not worth it or she thinks she must do it all on her own. I don't get it, but I can at least respect that I can't be there unless you let me. So until you're ready to let me, if you're ever ready to let me, just let me know. That's all it takes. I may not be able to be there right away or in a convenient timetable, but I do want to make time for that dense dork if they ever do reach out. They've got to get past themselves first, and I can't help with that. Because I'm still struggling to get past myself. Nothing bigger, nothing lesser, just that struggle of what we think about ourselves and how it can be the very thing that gets in our own way.